Took a little break, ready to come back here. So we're actually pretty close to finishing this, kinda. This silly thing goes right on top of here. But how am I going to get the spark plug thing on? It's kind of annoying. Anyway, before I finish this, let's actually get this section of the saw done. So in order to do that, 3 bolt holes here for the ignition coil. So let's find the ignition coil. What the devil is that other bolt hole for? What goes there? Anyone? The red line here probably goes underneath. I'm going to assume that this is then just a ground. 3 bolts, looks like. M5, maybe 16 millimeters, so. Of course, T27. So it looks like I'm willing to bet you put the ground here first. No. So let's try this again. Ignition coil goes down. The red wire needs to get tucked under here somehow. Probably like that. And the black wire fits in there like that. Okay, 2 screws for the ignition coil. Red and black wires get run. The red wire gets put down. Yeah, that's probably closer. That's how we're going to route that. Before you put the ignition coil down, you've got to put the flywheel on. So let's do that. This has to be all clean. Debris. Flywheel goes on. Flywheel nut. Now I usually put these on with blue Loctite. In this case I'm not going to do that in case Jason needs to get this off. But you do need a torque wrench on this. 16 millimeter. Looks like 16 millimeter goes. Just going to get this mildly snug. Now we can actually set the ignition coil. Simplest way to do that is with a business card. We got this gapped. What we do need to do is tighten down this nut to a very specific torque, but in order to do that we need to stop the cylinder head, or rather the piston, from moving up and down. So in order to do that I need rope. Nylon rope. Get it down at the store. Super cheap. And then what you do is you bring the cylinder head up. Oh, just a little bit more. There are all kinds of other piston stops, but this is definitely the best one because it doesn't damage anything. Now we're going to use a torque wrench on here. 20 foot-pounds. 20 foot-pounds. And again, I would put blue Loctite on here, but this is going to come apart again anyway, so if somebody happens to have a better spec, then I'm all for it, but 20 foot-pounds should do. Back this off. Pull your piston stop out. Now we can set the gap here with our business card. So move this around to where the magnet is going to grab it. should suck it right on in effectively. And then don't cinch them fully down, so back it off just a little bit and get this one down. 1, 2. Back it off. Business card out. Not rubbing. You're good. Oh, I know. There might actually be a piece of rubber that goes in there. There's all kinds of pieces of rubber here. You know? Could that fit in there? Sure.
But yeah, is there a groove in it to fit the wires through? You have to thread them.
Have to thread them. Have to undo that and thread them all over again. Here's a piece of rubber. This looks like it's for the spring on the other side. Well, I already have a piece of rubber on that, so I don't need that. Throttle piece, probably.
Mm-hmm.
That's an oiler tube, which I already have. This... So this needs to go in there, I think. It looks like it would probably go in there. And the bolt hole looks like M4. So I have to go back and put this part of an addendum. So unfortunately we're not only missing stuff, but we have extra stuff just to confuse us. Let's see if we can put the starter on. Nice heavy wire, looks like number 5 probably. Heavy cord. Still don't know what that's for down there. No idea. Why is there a mount for something? I don't know. It was three medium screws and a long one. So this is for the starter, I think. One, two, three, and the fourth one goes over here. The only problem is that I'm missing a piece. Yeah, there's a bushing or something that I'm missing. Pretty sure it's one of those bell-shaped pieces. 1, 2, 3. I may have that piece. So over here, where this piece goes, you need to have this bell piece, which I believe I'm missing. So I happen to have one, and I'm gonna push this through eventually. Okay, that's good. So now we have that one. That's 1, 2. This is actually a pretty nice part here. 3, 4. So now the starter is on. At this point, I like to cram a whole bunch of WD-40 down here because I want the whole thing to be nice and smooth. I want it down the transfers and on the rings and everywhere. Good. Okay, that's just how I do it. Let's see, this should go pop. Not quite, it doesn't quite clear the muffler. Let's get the muffler off. Remember, the muffler we had on just temporarily for sealing the whole thing up. We have these, the M5s here, and they come with a set, 2 short ones, 2, 16 millimeters, and these look like a little bit bigger, maybe M6. 2 of those. They're all for the exhaust. There is a gasket that we need in there. So here's the Farmer Tech gasket. Probably not a particularly good one. The OEM set does indeed have gaskets, so I just get one of them started. And then do the other. Cinch these down. 1, 2, and these you're definitely going to want to finish by hand. 1, 2. I haven't done any muffler modification or anything. There's no spark screen on this. So if you're going to use this in the woods, somebody may yell at you about needing a spark screen. That goes on there like that. These do not seem to line up particularly great. So I need to enlarge the holes here just a little bit just to get the screws in. 1. I had to open that up a little bit. Now we got it. So let's put the top cover on. So it looks like this comes up that way. 3 top cover bolts. One. Little bit of grease on the end of your T27 holds the bolt a little bit better. 2. And then one on the side over here. 3. Spark plug. A little bit of anti-seize on this. This is going to come off anyway, so this does go on here. And then this piece does go in here. I think it clicks in to the top. Now we have, oh yes, the air filter. And with a cover, this little piece just pops right in there. What are we missing? Oh yeah, the handle. Let's get the handle screws. Speed screws. I know. Why are we using wood screws on a chainsaw? That was Cousin Eric. What the hell?
Is there anti-vibration on any of those?
I don't think so. Because you want these in and solid. Obviously on the handle, 1, 2. Now with the handle, you can get a better one from HL Supply, at least according to Walt. So I think the Hyway handle is probably better than the Farmer Tech, according to him, and it's still a pretty reasonable price. So I'll put a link down in the description. This actually fits really nice. So look at that, the bolts line right up. How often do you see that? Wow. 1, 2. So these plastic nubby looking things, which you can just insert in here with some grease and just pop them in. And that way that keeps dust out of here. They're just dust covers. But I'm not going to install them because I'm just not. The saw is going to get taken apart later. Kind of pointless to be putting those things in. Here. What we can put on, yep, there, and then the big one goes in here. One other thing we can put in certainly is the spikes. I think this is the inner dog, this is probably the outer dog. Yeah. And there is a chain catcher on there too, so this goes here like that. Looks like there could be a fairly long here. That could work. But you need a nut on this one up here. And I don't see any other nuts. Do you, Dad?
Not here.
What we're going to do is we're going to put some blue Loctite on this lower one, because dogs are not something you want coming loose. We'll get the lower one going here. And then, par chance, I happen to have a whole pile of M5 nuts. So, not that big of a deal. Still pretty annoying if you're putting this together and you don't have a whole pile of extra parts like I do. Ah, look. Those little nuts go in here, and then the dog goes in like that. So you got to take these pieces out. One, just lift, they come right out. Okay, so the dog goes here. 2 bolts here. A couple of nuts go inside. Upside down, yep. Just like that. Really, you want to seat the nut, the lock nut first. Good. There you go. There's your outer dog. I don't even know if these bolts are correct here. They look like they're right, but it also looks like there's some interference here. So I'm going to grind on these white pieces so that they sit down properly. This other one's going to need quite a bit of grinding. Now this is ground. Now obviously the other thing you can do is grind off on the bolts so they're not quite so long. That might help a little bit too. Okay. The clutch cover goes on. So let's see if I can get it to pop. Put a little brake cleaner in here. Set it to run. Now I have the decompression valve plugged, so yep, she pops. So that's a first attempt, and it does run. Now I'm not intending here to get this to run super great. That's not the idea. It is together, at least mostly together. And if you need a hand figuring out what goes where, I hope this video is going to be comprehensive enough. I do have enough new parts or leftover parts here to be annoying, but I can't easily figure out not just what goes where, but what the heck happened. Oh, there is one other thing I'm forgetting. Chain catcher. I'm going to put it on the inside here. Looks like 8mm, probably M5. But kind of difficult to get it to fully go on there because it's too tight up against the case. If they put it a few millimeters further down, we'd be all set, but they didn't. Looks like this goes on here like that. And it also looks like there's some type of a retaining clip. Need it open. Yeah. There you go. Just needs to be opened. Should be able to then seat it. So I actually just used the end of a pointy nose plier to open that spring it just a little bit. Now this is not going to want to come off. There's basically no force on that. Now let's see if this goes. Theoretically, the holes should line up. The holes line up. Have your chain catcher. There you go. So that is a fully built 660. There you have it. We know that it does actually run, and that really only proves two things, spark and compression. But that is a fully built saw. So for this build, I'll just say thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. However, I'm going to do an addendum video here, and we're going to talk about things I missed, things I might have missed, some other considerations, all that stuff. Okay, does this clear? Something isn't right in there, so we'll look at that. If you like chainsaws and you like this video, please join us at Outdoor Power Equipment Forum, which is opeforum.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe.